All right, welcome back to the SilmFilm Script Discussion, Season 3, Episode 7, Part 9. Wow. Okay, anyway, so we are, I know what I was looking for over here. I was looking for my notes, and here they are. So we are now in Act 3, and we're returning to Eglares. The question is, what are we doing here? We have to come back here because we haven't been back in a while, so we kind of need to reestablish Eglares and the threat to it.
We're showing that they are not prepared for
an
attack
that's right.
now.
We already discussed
that. So we
that.
did talk about that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What we have to figure out is how far that goes in this scene. Like, do wolves appear on the horizon in this scene? Do ships appear on the horizon in this scene? Probably not, because we would want the ships to be a surprise rescue.
So do you want you want the actual fighting to happen after the Doom of Manos?
That's what I'm trying to ask, when we attack the Haven.
Yeah. I think that we need to
Doom.
Oh my goodness, there's so much whiplash going on.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We got to be very careful with this. Because if we're cutting, because we can't cut back and forth between the action scene and people talking on the shores of Araman. That's not going to work.
Could we have the entire?
The entire sequence would have to be at once. Like, we would have to do the full sequence.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Silmarillion. Yeah, just get it all finished, and then just.
Once they're on the ships looking back at their burning village, we go back to Araman.
Okay, that's what we're gonna have to do.
And then then Act 4 is the fallout from the Doom among the Noldor.
Okay. All right. So let's do. We can't do another 3-scene act. I can tell you that right now. Although if we're doing, like the assault on Eglares is going to be a relatively lengthy bit, but that's.
Can the Doom of Mandos be the end of Act 3?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. We do the Doom. So
we've got Finneran and Galadriel. We've got Finarfin and Figolfin. We've got the entirety of the attack on the Havens and the evacuation, and then we've got the Doom of Mandos. Should the Doom of Mandos?
The Doom of Mandos, I think, is going to have to happen before the assault on the Havens. Right before.
Noldor hanging.
On the other hand, it does seem to make sense to cut away from the Finarfin-Fingolfin conversation to go back to Eglares and then come back to do Doom and Fallout.
So have the Doom
feels better.
Act 4.
Okay, but here's the thing.
I know.
Like,
the most exciting thing in the episode is the attack on the Haven.
Right. That's the biggest set piece.
But we want the important thing to be the Doom of Mandos. So
right. Well, that's why I didn't want to do it this way. Anyway,
how do you want
to do it, Nick?
I want to go back and put all this stuff before we go back to Valinor and do all of those things. Anyway, it's too late now.
Yeah.
I can't have what I want.
That does not help.
Right. That's what I'm saying. What I want, not helpful. So okay. Here's the thing. After the attack on the Havens, there's nothing there. There's nothing in the Balerion storyline other than them looking at the Havens from their ships. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an Act 4 thing, right? There's no way that happens in Act 3, and we just never come back to there's nothing there.
So the Doom has to be in Act 3. And the Doom has to follow up almost immediately on Finarfin and Fingolfin's conversation. So, Finarfin and Fingolfin are standing there talking about this, and Mandos shows up.
Right.
Is pretty much how we.
Right. So we need a scene now amongst the Noldor. It can't be Fingon and Maedhros.
Right, because that has to be Act 4.
Right. Unless it's Goodness. Unless we do the twins.
Oh, that might be good.
Yeah.
Well, wait, okay, we're gonna have Fingolfin and Finarfin, and then immediately have the Doom, and then is that just the end of Act 3, or do you?
That's the end of Act 3. Yes. What I'm saying is, I'm saying to have the twins now before we get to
Finarfin and Fingolfin.
Finarfin and Fingolfin, yes.
So have Finrod Gadriel, then the twins, then Finarfin and Fingolfin, then the Doom, then Eglarest, then back to the fallout from the Doom.
Right. Well, okay.
Okay, so why would we want the twins? We would want that so they can establish their opinions now.
Well, we don't have to establish that their fully thought out opinions, but
no,
we need to reintroduce that. We need to because we have had almost no contact with them. Right.
Right. They're not important characters. We haven't heard from them.
Right.
Much.
So what I'm saying is we need to have a conversation with them here.
Okay. So we were considering.
Is that what you're saying?
What's that?
You're saying just the two of them?
Just the two of them. Yeah. Yeah.
We were going through parts of this episode highlighting that Feanor's leadership style is a little bit manic.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible that one of the twins would voice the opinion that, gee, I wish Nerdanel were here. She always knew how to get him reasonable and calm down.
Maybe somebody who might wind up trying to get back on the ships to go back to Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. That twin, actually. Because I'm just trying to figure out how to bring up Nerdanel other than, gee, I miss her. I wish she were here. Like, the practical use of...
I mean, they're not unaware that their mother tried and failed to persuade their father. I mean,
oh, no, they know.
Right.
There, she wouldn't be able to stop him.
Right, but they could bring up how she used to be able to.
Right, he didn't used to be like... She used to be able to calm things down and get the situation...
I mean, was that the case by the time they were born?
Yeah,
yes.
By the time they were born.
She
so, yeah.
lost her ability to do that after they were grown up.
She lost the ability to do that after they were grown up. All right.
Yeah. Like,
or
obviously,
as they were growing up.
Yeah, she and Feanor were getting cooler towards each other throughout their childhood, and clearly she wasn't as
guys,
effective.
I need to put a hold real quick. All right, so where were we? All right. When last I was here, we were talking about the Amrod and Amra scene where Amrod is bringing up how Nerdanel used to be able to help Father calm down. He's been very strange lately. Yeah. He always seems angry.
He seems angry. I don't think angry is up for debate. I think it's more like
so he always is angry. Okay.
Yes.
He's angry all the time now instead of just occasionally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so while you were out, I was mentioning that we had in the picture and the Sun's kind of having a dim view of Nerdanel's attempts to talk Feanor around, where they're like, yeah, Mom and Dad fight, but she always goes along with his point of view in the end. And we've never really heard from the twins, so it's possible they viewed her a little differently and considered her to be more of the rock of the family who knew when to strategically capitulate rather than just go along with, so to speak. So we could hear that voiced in this conversation.
What she was saying is that, like, for the other brothers, it was like they thought that Feanor had kept persuading Nerdanel to go along with his ideas, whereas the twins perceived that when she would leave an argument with Feanor, it was because she knew she couldn't persuade him anymore, not because he actually persuaded her.
Yeah.
Right. So that just so that we get a new perspective on Nerdanel voiced by these characters, because obviously one of them respects her viewpoint more than might have been apparent earlier.
And that's one of the reasons why I think that we needed to bring them up here, because we need to make sure that
it doesn't come out of nowhere next episode.
Right.
when they're not. We need to set up the, they're not always acting in lockstep. They don't always think exactly the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
So Amrit says, I wish Mom was here. I wish she could, persuade Father like she used to be able to. And
why do you think that? Why do you think that doesn't? Why do you think that stopped? Like they might ask, what happened? Like, what do you think happened? Like they may not be aware of what's going into Feanor's main. They can see that something's off.
Do any of the sons now or later actually express out loud the idea that's been put into the storyline that he's been going crazy ever since Fenway died? Do any of the sons either at this point or maybe in the aftermath of the burning of the ships, like say that's the point where Father started going downhill?
I don't think until after he's dead.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that requires some level of perspective that they lack right now because they're in the middle of it. And they certainly see how he's acting and they know it's different than how it used to be, but they haven't taken the time to pinpoint the turning point.
It's almost like they're under a spell of his charisma.
Mm-hmm.
When he dies, it's lifted. And then they start a little.
Yes.
Some of the sea boys don't seem to ever get that.
So I don't know how much you know about Jonestown, which was Jim Jones in the 1970s took a group of people down to the forest of Guyana and a bunch of dead bodies. In that, the way you hear people talk about Jim Jones and the way you hear them talk about People's Temple, you can kind of see a lot of this stuff. I mean, I'm not saying that Feanor is a cult, but he is a very successful cult leader, and
yes,
so is Jim Jones.
He's the charismatic leader of.
Yeah, and
because he's just an amazing guy.
Yeah, and Jim Jones had plenty of true devotees who were 100% convinced that his way was the way to do things. He also had children who were there, and his oldest son, who survived, was not unaware of his father's issues, I should say. So he publicly fought with his father before the end of Jonestown, like it's on all the tapes and everything, but not effectively. He would call him out in meetings, but it didn't go anywhere. So
had.
Well, Jim Jones had a wife as well who had no control of the situation and died there. But the point is, you can see a lot of stuff of how people thought and talked at the time because they taped it off. Or you can compare to how they talk, the ones who survived looking back. And the survivors obviously have had plenty of time to process and recognize that there was never anything real there, that this was always a cult.
Yeah.
But during, did they figure out that they were part of a cult? No, of course not. Just you hadn't had the perspective, the chance to look at it, to see the steps of where it goes. You need time and distance to get there. So yeah, I think not till after Feanor's death.
So the twins are not at this point realizing that Father is crazy. They're just saying he's different and
he's upset.
He's different and he's angry, and they just wish Mom were here to balance things out the way she used to.
Right.
Yeah.
And also they they probably justify all of this. Like, it's not that he's crazy; it's that he's upset. He lost his father. How would we feel if he died? Dun, dun, dun,
yeah. They agree with all of the arguments he's made.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. So we go from them to Finarfin making the final play for Fingolfin's soul. Right.
Well, not the final play because they have to have an argument after the doom.
Well, okay, but the thing is that what's going to happen after the doom is basically just the falling apart. It's basically the delivery of decisions.
Yeah, but the thing is that if you have the majority of each conversation happen before the doom, they can't discuss the doom. They can't discuss the Valar having officially told them, you are all damned if you, well, not damned, but you are all,
Yeah.
They can't talk about it if it hasn't happened yet. And I want
Right. I understand that, but the problem is that once it happens, it's one thing. It's one thing to talk about a momentous event that happened in the last episode like that. If it just happened and we start talking about it too much and we start analyzing it too much, it loses emotional power as far as actors on the screen.
even if all they're doing is saying like the Valar have condemned this enterprise, like
there can be a public discussion afterwards,
Right.
but it's
Yes.
a public with everybody there. It's no longer me. Let me pull you aside and privately have a conversation.
Right.
That
Right.
part has to be over before the Doom.
Right.
because it would be too much of an emotional downturn.
It drains the emotional resonance out of
Right.
it.
Whereas we want to have everyone really keyed up and excited and having this big back and forth.
Right.
Not a private thing. That's all.
Right. Especially since that scene where they're all really keyed up and excited is now coming on the heels of the assault on Edglarest. Right. So it needs to be very dynamic. It needs to be very dynamic. It needs to be people being very emotional and expressing themselves very vehemently, so that we don't get too whiplashy.
Okay, so it can't be too much of, Finarfin and children sitting around having a,
Right.
philosophical conversation about the meaning of authority.
Right, exactly. And so that's all stuff that we have to set up earlier. That's one of the issues, like, we've run into this so many times now, is that there's these big events and we really do want to talk about them. We obviously want to talk about them. That's the whole point why we have, why we all get together and we talk about these things from the books, is that we want to analyze these bits and think about what they mean to us and to each other, right? But in the medium of television, when you do that, you're making it less potent in a way, because you're analyzing it.
So
right.
Okay, so each episode has a story arc, and a story has a climax and then a denouement.
Right.
Now the denouement can't be. Denouement doesn't.
Well, the climax isn't the doom itself. The doom itself is what incites the climax.
What is
right? That? So the climax is this very public discussion of what do we do now.
What happens afterwards then? What's the denouement?
The denouement is I got yelled at too many times to pronounce it differently now. We had somebody on this discussion group for a while who was very insistent that I pronounce that word correctly, because I was pronouncing it exactly the same way that you're pronouncing it. It's cool because it's French. Anyway, I hate French, the language. It never makes sense to me in my brain. Anyway, so
you have to learn the pronunciation for the spelling. It's not intuitive.
Yeah, not.
It is consistent once you learn it, unlike English.
Yes. So the climax is, so the fall off, right, is the ships leaving, right? The discovery of the ships having left. No, sorry, Finarfin leaving.
Oh,
the ships leaving. The discovery of the ships having left. Finarfin leaves publicly in front of everybody, right? With a relatively small group of followers. Not, I mean, that's not super small, but like maybe 1,000 people, right?
Oh, I think he has multiple thousands, but they're still a fraction of. I mean, they're
a tithe.
They're less. They're certainly not more than the number of people who didn't leave to begin with.
Right.
So at most, this is a tenth of the number of total Noldor in existence.
Yeah.
At most, yes.
Yeah. So they leave very publicly, right? and then Fingolfin's of the mindset that, okay, well, that's sad now, but we're going to get ready to go to Middle Earth now, and then wake up is the wrong word, but somebody goes out to the ships and they're not there anymore. All right, somebody goes to look at the
news
ships.
that the ships have left.
Right.
They can see the ships have left because the ships had lanterns and now all of a sudden they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just dark and you can't see them anymore.
Right.
The other thing is then we have to go and show the bulldog scene, and we have to go back to the frame.
Right.
So we'll kind of trail off the episode with that.
Can the bulldog scene be sounds like saying bulldog? Can the bulldog scene be put very after or like immediately before or immediately after an Eglaris scene?
I would put that scene in between the final release of the Noldor scene and before the teaser, because it's essentially a second teaser.
It's a setup for the next episode. All right.
Right, exactly. So essentially what we're doing is having a double teaser here, which I'm okay with, because the bulldog scene is very, very short. The scene it's
also not directly relevant to anything else that's going on.
But it sets up the next episode, so
right.
It's a tag.
Right. Tag. I keep saying teaser. Yes, it is a teaser in a way. But it is the tag of like a secondary tag of the episode. Okay. So anyway, but before we completely fill out Act 4, let's finish Act 3 here. So Finarfin's play is essentially Feanor is mad. He's dangerous to our people.
What we're doing is wrong. You know,
we can't afford to let him be the leader.
We know we're going against the will of Valar. We are, if we continue, we're complicit in all the evil that he's going to do. And I foresee that he's going to do more evil. Look at what he's already done to Alcolonde.
We might be able to get Finarfin to convince Fingolfin to at least start taking more control.
Well, because Fingolfin very soon is going to declare himself king before the end of this episode, right?
I mean, that's
his reaction to the Doom has to be along those lines of we can't afford Feanor in leadership anymore.
Yeah.
Whether or not he tries to openly declare himself king is another story, but he definitely should.
I still think that it either has to be at the end of this episode. It has to be before Feanor leaves with the ships, whether it's shown in this episode or the next one.
I can see him stating that he's done with Feanor's leadership. I don't see him necessarily openly saying I am going to take the kingship, right? Like, I don't see him saying those words if he would then have a fight on his hands with Feanor, because he literally just said at the beginning of this episode that he was never going to draw his sword against elves ever again, and he's got to know that if he declares himself king, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Well, but that isn't. I mean, in the Shibboleth, Feanor's response is not actually to kill Fingolfin. It's to take the ships and leave.
Right. But in the published Silmarillion, that none of that happens, and Feanor's reason for doing that is because he thinks Fingolfin is going to betray him, not because he does.
If Fingolfin openly declares himself king, it makes Feanor's decision to leave with the ships justified.
Right.
If we
doesn't?
Yeah, it does. It's a coup. So Feanor takes the ones that are loyal to him and leaves.
Fingolfin has betrayed him.
It's only a coup if Feanor's claim to the kingship is legitimate to begin with. Fingolfin has not openly talked about his claim to the kingship, but the Valar made him the king and he never stepped down.
But he did submit himself to Feanor. And if he declares himself above Feanor at this point, he is betraying his word on that.
Well, but see, when he made that agreement to the Valar did not then say, okay, Fëanor, you can come back from Fermentos, you're king now.
No, they didn't. But that's still
because Finwë was supposed to still be king in that conversation because Finwë was still alive when that conversation happened.
Right.
But
also, go on.
I was just gonna say, Fëanor is de facto king, and has been, and anyone who says otherwise is challenging his leadership and betraying him.
Right.
Well,
so
whether or not he sees it, but the audience need not see it that way. Fëanor is.
I don't.
He's the eldest son of Finwë, and
yeah, we live in a world where that's a thing.
If Fingolfin claims the kingship back right now, Fëanor looks justified in taking the ships.
So it would have worked if he had asserted his claim all along, but since you show him dropping his claim, you can't have him pick it up yet.
Since the Silmarillion shows him dropping his claim, yes.
Huh.
I mean, I think that there's a reason why that's not in the Silmarillion.
Well, because it hadn't been written yet.
No.
Well, obviously, by the time it was published, it was all written.
Right. Christopher Tolkien didn't put that in the published Silmarillion, possibly because it contradicts other things that he felt needed to be in there.
Well, we probably shouldn't get into a debate of what made the cut and what didn't publish.
Right. Well, that's
because there are 12 volumes of the history of Middle Earth to hash that out.
Yeah.
There is a point at which Fingolfin says, "I am the king of the Noldor, not just of these Noldor who are crossing the ice, but I'm going to go to Middle Earth and challenge Fëanor's kingship when I'm there." So
but that's after he's been betrayed by the ships, and that's the whole point: is that who betrays who first matters.
Okay.
So we can have Fingolfin declare his kingship in the next episode when Fëanor's gone.
Right.
So
and he can express his.
You feel like the audience would take it as a betrayal if he did that.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. I need to put in a quick break here. So real quick, if you're watching us live, hang in, we'll be right back. If you're watching us on YouTube in the future, definitely like and share the videos if you want to share them. If you haven't yet, feel free to subscribe. Check out the links below for information on Sigma University, the SilmFilm Project, Mythgard Academy /Institute, and Mythmood 5 coming up the June 21st to the 24th of this year. We'll be back in a second.